Hey everybody, Chronicles 2 here, and welcome back to the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. When we last left off, we were talking about the forces of inertia and how it could latch a door from the inside when nobody was here to latch it. Let's continue on with this questioning. It was almost as if someone had run their hand across the shelves and deliberately knocked everything over. Oh yes, I remember that. And I stood them all up again, didn't I? Then when we came into this cabin, we were surprised to see the same thing in here. All the books and everything had toppled over, just like in Mr. Asagi's cabin. Oh my! Do you have anything to say about this, Miss Pavlova? Nope. Are you out of your mind? You say Burya made an emergency stop? It does seem a little far-fetched. How could that possibly have happened? Unless you're saying that the culprit is actually someone from the engine room. Oh, it is simple enough. Huh? Are you forgetting the button in the passageway outside? Used to trigger the emergency alarm? Oh yes, of course. There was a notice, wasn't there, telling you to only press the button in times of emergency. On dark nights when the fog is dense, the captain cannot afford to rely on the eyes of his lookout alone. Hence the placement of a number of buttons throughout the vessel to allow any crew member to raise the alarm. The sort of button one is almost compelled to press to satisfy one's curiosity. Wait, it was you? When the button is pressed, two things happen in the interest of safety. The emergency alarm bell rings, and the vessel comes to a complete stop. As indeed it did a little earlier today. Yes, you pressed the button. Mr. Sholmes, surely it wasn't you who... As I always say, a button has but one purpose in life. To be pressed, whatever the occasion. He sounds almost proud of himself. How dare you mess with ship? I report you to cabin. You're in much trouble now. Now, I'm sure all this can wait until later. Let us not overlook the fact that we have now learnt a valuable lesson. When the vessel makes an emergency stop, the bolts on the cabin doors slide closed. So, what we must now consider... Yes, it all comes down to one thing now. Last night, after what happened to Mr. Asagi, did this ship make an emergency stop or did it not? You are idiots. Burya is a huge ship with many passengers. If we make an emergency stop even in the middle of night, there would be chaos everywhere. What are your thoughts, Mr. Naruhodo? Well, everybody was like poisoned or something. We all have a headache. Well, it's certainly possible that some kind of emergency happened last night. We have evidence to support that idea. Really? What evidence, Mr. Naruhodo? The ship's log. Fascinating. Do show us, my good man. What evidence promotes the theory that some emergency gripped this vessel last night? Ship's log right here. Present.
Yes!
Seaman Stroganoff. It's your duty to patrol the first-class area of the ship, is that right? Da, that is correct. Why? And the ship's log here. This would be where you record the details of your duties. What are you doing with that? That is mine. Ah, you rather carelessly left it atop the little makeshift bureau in the passageway out there. But as responsible passengers, we took it into our care with the mind to return it to you later. I left it there on purpose. That's where I'll put it always. The point is, looking at what you usually record, it's clear that under normal circumstances, you write the phrase "nothing to report" every 30 minutes. But from 2 o'clock last night until first light this morning, nothing was recorded at all. Nothing recorded in the log? That is... because nothing happened. But if nothing happened, you would normally write "nothing to report," wouldn't you? Gulp. Indeed so, which tells us that shortly after 2 a.m., something happened. Here aboard the SS Burya. Something sufficiently significant to make you forget to fill in the ship's log, in fact. Are you suggesting that the ship really did make an emergency stop in the middle of the night? Stop talking rubbish. Ellipses. If I'm perfectly honest, I find that a little hard to believe myself. Oh, why? Well, because if something as major as an emergency stop really happened, surely all of us would have noticed. That's very true. Thanks to the emergency stop we experienced earlier, we all know what it feels like now. The ship lurched so violently, and the alarm bell was so loud. I can't imagine that anybody would sleep through that, even if it happened in the dead of night. Well, no, that's a good point. What of the throbbing? Excuse me, Mr. Holmes. Did you say the throbbing? Sorry, what do you mean? Your head, man. Throbbing of your head since this morning. We've all suffered with it. Ah. Oh, yes. I've had a headache. You're right. In fact, I haven't been feeling myself since I woke up today. Nor have I. My head has been feeling heavy ever since dawn. Yes, you've all been afflicted, haven't you? Just as I suspected. He's right. My head's been throbbing today, too. And since eating dinner yesterday evening, everything has felt sort of hazy. So yes, it was in the food. I can't really remember anything that happened after I climbed back inside the wardrobe. And the first thing I noticed this morning was the throbbing pain in my head. I had already been dragged out of the wardrobe and had those handcuffs put on me by that point. Why didn't I wake up when all that was happening to me? Tell me, Mr. Naruhodo. You boarded this vessel as a stowaway, didn't you? Oh, well, yes. Sorry. The stowaway class of accommodation doesn't usually include meals. What did you survive on? Ah, well, Kazuma looked after me. He was always happy to share his meals. So he enjoyed some of the whole roast chicken dish that was served yesterday evening, I take it. So I bet the crew knocked everybody out so that they could conceal, if I can speak correctly, they could conceal Miss Pavlova boarding the ship. Now the problem with that is, if Kazuma only had some of the food, maybe he would have been woozy and not quite enough to be knocked out, and thus caused him to much more easily lose his balance. So you enjoyed some of the whole roast chicken dish that was served yesterday evening, I take it? Yes, in fact, I had all of that. Kazuma wasn't fond of chicken. Oh, so Kazuma didn't have any. Oh, really? So the victim didn't eat any of the chicken at all. The victim discovered what was happening. That's right, he didn't touch it. Is that relevant? Yeah, because he saw Miss Pavlova. My dear fellow, does that not strike you? Oh, Mr. Sholmes, do you mean to say that there was something wrong with the chicken? I do. No, really? Is that really true? The meal prepared for the passengers last night had been tampered with. Tampered with by the addition of a soporific? I don't know this word, I'm sorry. Soporific, designed to induce a very deep slumber in those who consumed it. I would say sedative? A sleeping drug. Yeah, a sedative. Do you mean whoever did this laced every meal with a sleeping drug so no one would notice the ship's emergency stop? Mr. Naruhodo, of course that's not what Mr. Stone means. What a far-fetched idea. No, That's what it means. Precisely. Lacing every meal of every passenger on board with a soporific drug would certainly be impossible. Unless, that is, every single member of the crew was a conspirator. What? Mr. Sholmes? Well, seaman? I like your pipe. Maybe I should take up pipe smoking. I don't smoke at all, by the way, but pipe smoking just looks cool. Don't smoke. Don't do it. Don't be like me. Don't give in to peer pressure of anime court cases. I'm so sorry to say that any more deception in this matter will get you nowhere. If you refuse to talk, there would have to be an inquiry made through the shipping company, of course. And were that to happen, every member of the crew and the captain himself would be hauled over the coals. For aiding and abetting a renegade. Exclamation point. You look guilty, Stroganoff. Please, no more. I will tell everything. Eh? I cannot make problems like this for everyone anymore. These crewmen are your former comrades, I believe. Yes. So when I decided to run away, I asked them to help me. We all agreed to help, everyone together. She threw away everything, her fame in the ballet, Mother Russia. We wanted to help our angel. I don't believe it. You're right. We put sleeping drug in chicken last night. Yes, I remember now. I did notice chewing on a lump of something strange and bitter at one point. So they just put whole pills in there? Okay. You just chewed it and you ate it. Okay. Da, we could not make all drug. How do you say? Dissolve. Ugh, talk about heavy seasoning. At midnight in waters near Shanghai, we brought our angel on board. She was helped by a comrade on shore with a small fishing boat. While all the passengers of the SS Buryasep slept soundly. Thanks to the almost magical effects of the slumber-inducing potion their evening meals had contained. So if that's what happened, the only people awake on the ship last night were the crew, people who dislike chicken, and the newly boarded passenger, Miss Pavlova. And that means it would have been possible for you. You could have used the emergency stop trick to lock Kazuma's cabin door. But how does that make sense? Surely every cabin door would have ended up locked in that case, and there would have been complete chaos. Oh, I wouldn't say so. What? Ah, of course. Just like us, all the other passengers would have eaten their evening meal of chicken in their cabins, after which they would have been overwhelmed by tiredness because of the sleeping drug. Quite. And accordingly, all passengers were already in their cabins for the night. Yes. The overwhelming majority of passengers would habitually sleep with their cabin doors bolted anyway. And so not one of them would have found it remarkable to find the door locked in the morning. In summary, in order to fasten the bolt of a single cabin door on the ship, the culprit brought the entire vessel to an emergency stop in the early hours of the morning. You have talked a long time and said many things. What is point? The point is what I said earlier. There was somebody else present on the scene when the victim lost his life last night. Someone who left a message in Russian on the floor in an attempt to incriminate another. Someone who tried desperately to hide the broken fragments of glass that would reveal the culprit's identity. and someone who abused the ship's emergency stop procedure in order to lock a door. All told, a busy night. I bet it was Stroganoff here. But, I don't know any about this. Oh, I don't know about any of this. I'm just a little girl. You like to speak with your long English words and explain your clever ideas. But I am Sailor, and sailors don't listen to long, boring stories. We don't believe. Sailors like me, we trust only what we see with our eyes. A laudable trait. What? I am quite of the same disposition, my good man. Observation to me is everything. Mr. Naruhodo. Oh, yes? Do you hear it? That accusatory cry of guilt on the wind. What accusatory cry of guilt? Sorry, you've lost me. Proof of involvement, man. But you can't hear such a call with your ears. No. You must hear it with your eyes. Hear it with your eyes. For observation is the basis of all deduction. What are you talking about? I believe the time has come for one final logic and reasoning spectacular to expose the truth. So, Mr. Naruhodo, your assistance, if you please. With what exactly, Mr. Sholmes? With observation, my dear fellow, just as I said. Of these two prevaricators? Prevaricators. Weird word. Observation? If you remember, Mr. Naruhodo, we know that somebody tried to fabricate evidence, don't we? By tampering with the scene of Mr. Asagi's death. What we're looking for is some trace of evidence that one of these two was there when it happened. Precisely. You're delightfully quick to grasp my meaning. Alright, I'll see what I can see. So we're looking for a trace of evidence that shows someone else was there last night when Kazuma died. Oh, so we're looking at these guys. Chunky arms. Sailor's hat. Whoa. Crop top. Oh, well, there's ink right here. I guess that's it. Let's present that.
Yes!
Seaman Stroganoff. Oh, I hit the wrong button. I'm sorry. You seem to have quite a large purple stain on the back of your white uniform there. Eh? Ah, yes. I don't know where that dirt comes from. So nothing in particular comes to mind about this stain. What are you trying to say? It would appear that the significance of the stain has escaped your attention, Seaman. Allow us to make it plain. It's a very large purple stain on the back of Seaman Stroganoff's uniform, and I think what made it is clear. Indeed it is. So Mr. Naruhodo, present the evidence that proves it. My pleasure. Alright then, the evidence that proves what the stain on the back of Seaman Stroganoff's uniform really is... do we have something that shows the ink? Is it in this picture? Let's examine it real quick. Yeah, this is written out of ink, right? That might be it. Wouldn't be the paper seal. Wouldn't be the pen. Wouldn't be the articles. His diary. Is it written in purple? Doesn't say. Postmortem. That's the scuff. Yeah, I'm gonna say it's the writing here. Present this.
Yes!
Yes, it's this photograph, and the ink it shows. That's what caused the stain on your uniform. Ink? A rather unusual color of ink, purple. Ah! Ah, the penny drops, at last. Now you see the significance. The Russian word on the floor next to the victim's body was written in purple ink. And the stain on the back of your uniform is ink of exactly the same color. If the ink had been dry, it couldn't possibly have stained your uniform in that way. Which means you must have been present in the cabin in the moments immediately after the ink was spilt. Alright, yes. It was me. I did it. Everything. I arranged everything in Dead Student's cabin to make it look like Wardrobe Man did it. Then I pressed button to make Buryo do emergency stop and bolted cabin doors shut. I did everything so no one would suspect our angel. Biff, please. Don't worry, Angel. Let me do talking. It was after 1 in the morning. I was on duty patrolling passageway. Then our angel came to me. She was white like sheet. Biff, please, you must help me. I went with her. The door to the cabin number 1 was open. When I looked inside, I saw Student Boy on the floor. What happened in here? Please, don't tell anyone. My little one, my little furry friend. Everything that happened in cabin is like Angel told you. The kitten escaped through the ventilator into Mr. Asagi's cabin. Then he tripped over and broke his neck when he fell on the floor. Yes, that is right. So after the incident when the cat ran away, Miss Pavlova then visited the cabin next to hers, only to find its occupant lying lifeless on the floor. She said she was worried when she heard the sound of something falling on the floor. That's when she went to look. No, Angel? No word. The door was not locked, so she opened to look, and you already know what happened after. There's just one thing, if you wouldn't mind. What? When you went to Mr. Asagi's cabin, Miss Pavlova, was he already dead? Why? I already told you. When Nina opened the door of student's cabinet and I looked inside, I was asking Miss Pavlova. Well, Miss Pavlova? I think that's a da, which means yes. Oh. Yes, that is right. I saw him. It was dark, and he was wearing black, but he was on the floor, not moving. I was scared. I understand, and I believe you. So is that finally it now? Have we discovered the real truth about Kazuma's death at last? Ah, something very nearly slipped my mind. Oh, Mr. Sholmes? This photograph. Yes, I took this myself, you know. The cause of death was a broken neck, therefore the victim died instantly. And the unfortunate incident that precipitated these events, a kitten on which the victim stumbled. However, if those are the facts, there's one particular area in this photograph that seems to me somewhat unnatural. Okay. What do you mean, unnatural? What are your thoughts on the matter, Mr. Naruhodo? Huh? Oh, well. If Kazuma tripped and fell and by some terrible stroke of bad luck broke his neck, which part of this photograph print seems unnatural? Well, I'm gonna go ahead and say to me it seems like the fact that his finger is pointing would be unnatural. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna present.
Yes!
the word wasn't written, so if you're looking for something unnatural, that's the obvious point. I'm talking about his finger. Very true. It's certainly peculiar, but it's not what I meant by unnatural, I'm afraid. That particularly crass detail was orchestrated by the culprit. I mean to identify another point. Oh, I see. Imagine, if you will, losing your footing yourself. In my opinion, if you landed as the victim appears to have done here, it would be most unnatural. I'm sure you'll reach the same conclusion. How thoughtful you are, Mr. Sholmes. Thank you for your gentle guidance. If he fell and broke his neck, what feels unnatural? His hand? I don't think I follow what they're trying to say. The position of his head. I mean, I would think his whole body, if he tripped and fell and broke his neck, he would be on his back. But I don't know how to present that. Let's say this hand and see what happens.
Yes!
Alright, if he really fell due to an unfortunate accident, then this fist just doesn't seem quite right. Yeah, that makes sense. Should be open, right? Relaxed. The exact same thought occurred to me. In a fall, one's instinct is to open the palms flat. Yet here we see the victim with his left hand tightly balled into a fist. Almost, you might say, as though he were gripping something. What do you mean? Simply that I took the liberty of investigating the victim's fist a short while ago. You did? And what, pray, do you imagine I found there, my dear fellow? Mr. Sholmes, show us, please! Why, of course, my dear madam. Would I keep you in suspense? Yes, you would. You would keep us in suspense. An earring. And that looks the same as Miss Pavlova's earring. This is what I found. Oh, a crescent moon with a little gemstone in the middle. Yes, you're right. A crescent moon. It's very pretty, but what does it tell us? It tells us nothing. I'm not so sure. That crescent moon looks familiar somehow. I'm sure I've seen it somewhere before. Oh, we gotta point it out. Observation, Mr. Naruhodo, that is the key. What? The truth is now tantalizingly close. How did that crescent moon come to be in Kazuma's clenched fist? This is the final clue, the last piece of the puzzle. Ask yourself, what does this little crescent moon mean? What significance has it? And observe, find the answer with your own eyes. Okay, so it's going to be on the side of her ear, broken here. So there's a crescent moon here. She has such petite ears among the beautiful hair, like little pink shells. Oh, what's that? There's something dangling down from her ear. Yes, that's an earring. Wait, look! It's the crescent moon. Ah! There can be no doubt, surely. So that's what we're going to present, right? Present that.
Yes!
Miss Pavlova, on your ear there. I see you have a crescent moon as well. Ah! What? And on your other ear, there seems to be a crescent moon missing. The little link holding it on must have broken, I suppose. Now, the missing crescent moon was found in the victim's clenched fist. Clearly, there's only one logical conclusion. Wouldn't you agree, Mr. Naruhodo? Yes. Miss Pavlova, Mr. Asagi must have grasped that crescent moon and pulled it from your ear. Perhaps just moments before he fell to the floor. In other words, last night in Mr. Asagi's cabin, you witnessed the moment when the victim fell with your own eyes. In fact, you were quite literally at arm's length from him. Stroganoff. Sad Stroganoff. But then the question is, why did Mr. Asagi do that? Why did he pull your earring from your ear and hold it in his clenched fist during his final moments? Oh no. Angel? No one can protect you now. Guess we're going to have to get Angel's story next episode. Thanks for watching. If you enjoy my content, please consider a like, a comment, and or a subscribe. Stay tuned for the next episode. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.